Hey there everybody, what's up? Kevin here from the M.S.O.T.D Rocks YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be reviewing the solo album from the Slipknot and Stone Sour frontman. This is my review of CMFT by Corey Taylor. Before we get started, please follow M.S.O.T.D Rocks on places like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's where you get the 30-second song of the day previews. Great way to get in the know with new music, old music, music from emerging bands in the rock and metal scene, and just find people that like all the same stuff as you. You can also connect with us on all those platforms, and we ask you a lot of questions. We're always contacting on that. And on Instagram, we do our IGTV videos every single Tuesday night, which is a behind-the-scenes look at what's going on here. And every single Wednesday, we do our Instagram live stream. It's an hour. You come talk to us. We just have a blast doing that. So please join us. Links in the description below. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel as well, because not only do you get these album reviews, you get our Kevin Figures Out series, which is me trying to figure out if I like certain bands or not that I'm not that well versed in. You get our top 10 lists, and of course our special videos like the Italian metalcore one we did and the top emerging bands and scenes according to myself. So check those out. Make sure to subscribe. And here is also where the Chord Progression podcast lives. That is our very own podcast where we're interviewing the emerging rock and metal bands in the scene today that are going to be the biggest bands by the end of the decade. We've done interviews with bands such as Throw the Fight, Kill Lights, Awake at Last, Blacktop Mojo. We got bands like, I'm trying to think because we just did one with promo. We got bands like Saul coming up. We got bands like Ego Kill Talent come up. So be sure you're subscribed to that, because we just talk to all these artists in different ways than you could ever imagine. So you can watch those podcasts here on YouTube, or you can subscribe and stream on Spotify for podcasts, Google Play, and iHeart Radio. The link's in the description below for everything. But enough of that, let's get on to it. Let's take a look at Corey's previous albums before we really jump into CMFT. With Stone Sour, their last album was Hydrograd, which came out on June 30th, 2017. It was received rather well with a 73 out of 100 Metacritic score, and it was Loudwire's 2017 Hard Rock Album of the Year and peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Top 200. This is also the first effort without founding guitarist Jim Root, also Slipknot, because he wanted to focus on more stuff with Slipknot, so it's totally understandable. When it came to Hydrograd, I really never got that fully into it because I wasn't really fully listening to a lot of different new music at the time. Plus, a song like Song Number 3 really wasn't going well with me at that time with what I was going through. Plus, Rise Against had released Wolves that exact same month, so yeah, there was no going away from there. As of now, Stone Sour is on indefinite hiatus, according to Corey Taylor, saying that he thinks the band has kind of run its course as of now, so we'll see if Stone Sour ever returns. Taking a look at Slipknot, their last album, We Are Not Your Kind, came out last year on August 9th, 2019, and it was received incredibly well with an 89 out of 100 Metacritic score, peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Top 200. I had to correct myself on that one. And when it came to the year-end awards, it was a consistent player in a lot of the best of the year lists. However, for myself, I really didn't care that much for We Are Not Your Kind. There were songs like Unsainted and Nero Forte, which I was like, okay, those are really good songs for Slipknot. I am a fan of those. But the rest of the album, there's a couple of problems I have with it. One was there was a couple of just these transitional songs that just really chopped up the album, and I wasn't a big fan of it. There was a song on there, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like, I sounded like a really bad diss track towards Chris Fenn. I'm like, it seems a little bit hasty. And yes, they did experiment in there a little bit more, but the long progressions leading into those songs really felt stale to me. So I wasn't the biggest fan of We Are Not Your Kind. I'm coming around a little bit more to it, but really I wasn't that big of a fan of the album. In terms of taking a look at CMFT, I'm not really sure what we're going to get, but I feel like we're going to get something a little bit more lighthearted and a little bit more experimental with more of a hard rock sense, due to the fact that Corey Taylor said that this was the most fun he ever had making an album. So I'm excited to see what the heck he has in store for us. So let's get on to the review. Haha! So starting out with the composition, construction, and instrumentation of this album, we know with Corey Taylor that he's with Slipknot and Stone Sour. So with this album, of course, them saying this is the most fun they ever had in an album, I'm curious to see kind of what kind of style he's going to work with, due to the fact that we know Slipknot has that heavy nu metal style to it. We know that Stone Sour has more of that hard rock, sometimes melodic hard rock style to it. And he's also played a lot of covers too at different shows with Corey Taylor and friends. So I'm curious to see what kind of bass are we getting to see where it's going up. And after listening to it, we got our answer. This bass is definitely in that hard rock bass, but they definitely experiment with a couple of different genres as well, and they have a lot of different catchiness to the song. So like a lot of catchy riffs, a lot of catchy parts. So let's take a look into some of these songs to see what really happened. So in the end, sometimes this really worked out well. Take a look at the lead single, CMFT Must Be Stopped, where you take a look at the instrumentation on it. It is very consistent with this rather standard hard rock beat. The guitars are down-tuned and they're rough, but they're not really that prominent, and they just play consistently throughout the whole entire 5-minute runtime of this song. However, I'm going to go through this in the vocal section as to why this really popped, because this consistency out really let the difference out of the rap rock that was going to go on in this song really shine. Then they also mix it with some hardcore punk as well. Take a look at the last song, European Tour Bus Bathroom Song, and this song is a full-on hardcore punk insanity where it opens up and it's just fast-paced. The guitars are just really roughly tuned and they're just blatantly out there, and the drums are just smashing the cymbals all over the place. Like, it's really consistent with this hardcore punk feel, and I absolutely love it because, again, I'm a punk rock guy, I really like this. And then the second half of the album, they kind of slow up just a tidbit and have this more like refined punk sound that I expect a lot of from Rise Against and The Suffer and The Witness. So when I'm going to compare something like that, I'm like, oh, wow. But then there's some with the vocals. I will get to that later as to a little bit of a problem I have with this song, but overall I love the hardcore punk feel of it. Then take a look at a song like Mighty Lux, where he's kind of taking this more punk rock feel to it, but mixing it with like some Ray Charles kind of stuff, which I thought, oh, this is really interesting. Let's see how this works. What I mean by that is when you listen to this song, it really has more of this fast-paced feel to it that has this real punk rock feel to it, not hardcore punk, more hard rock mixed with punk rock. And I do like it because it's, again, rough, but it's not super duper rough at the same time. But as we go through with the construction of it, there's a point at the end of the verses where all of a sudden Corey just like stops the instruments and then they hit right at the end of each measure. Kind of like What I Say by Ray Charles. And I thought, this worked out incredibly well because it really provided us this great transition between the verses and the chorus at the same time as well, and just showed the contrast with the vocals at the same time. So this was really done well in my opinion. However, the times I really didn't care that much for kind of this experimentation with the hard rock style was when he went with more of that country kind of vibe. So you take a look at songs like Silverish and Kansas, and you really feel this more country fusion within there, more modern country infusion in there, especially on Silverish. And where I wasn't the biggest fan of this is just because, for myself, I really don't get into the whole entire country thing. I really don't get into the down-home feel of it due to the fact that that's just not how my emotions work, how my experiences work with music. But I do understand why a lot of people would like this, and I do understand the experimentation that goes on behind it. However, it's the consistent strumming of an acoustic guitar. At times, I'm really a little bit more standoffish. With Kansas, though, I have a little bit of a difference to it, so I'm going to talk about that in a different section. But overall, when it comes to the experimentation, there's a lot of hard rock tracks on here that have a different style to them, and I do like what he does. Take a look at Highway 666, more of like that country Charlie Daniels feel, and just the thumping of the drums. It really does work out well. Take a look at a song again like CMFT, rap rock, and you got European Tour Bus Bathroom, hardcore punk. You've got some ballads in there too, like Home, which again, I'll talk about that in a different section. I think it fits a little bit better in somewhere else. But overall, like, this album is really fun, but in terms of like just this craziness, there's some crazy experimentation in there. But for me, there was really not like this full-on holy crap moment. The whole closest to that was CMFT, Must Be Stopped. Now time to move on to the vocal section of this review, and again, I was curious, let's see what kind of things Corey Taylor's going to go with. Are we going to go with something a little bit more rougher with Slipknot style? We're going to get something more with hard rock style like Stone Sour, and a little bit cleaner. And of course, after listening to the instrumentation, I'm like, we're definitely going to be getting something more Stone Sour related, a little more melodic, hard rock kind of sense. And that's ended up what we got him. And that's just due to the fact that with, again, the instrumentation, it's constructed with that hard rock bass. So of course we're going to get something with a vocal style that has more of that hard rock bass from Corey Taylor. So did this work out? And my answer is, I think it worked out for the most part due to the fact that he did a really good job consisting with different styles on these songs and just really made them match up and work. Take a look at a song like Highway 666, where the first and third verse, where you get more of that strumming with the guitar and more of that like downtrodden kind of feel, a little more sinister kind of feel. The vocals are lower in tone, a little bit gruffier, but they're not necessarily forceful. And I really do like how this works, because it just adds the emotion of the song. Then you get to the second verse and the chorus, where everything is just being pushed out there a lot harder, and it's a little bit more forceful from Corey Taylor, like we would expect him. Yeah, I totally understand this, and this totally worked. Then take a look at a song like Mighty Lux, where all of a sudden you're going to get this like more in-your-face kind of brash style from Chord Taylor, not super duper hard, but again, in-your-face brash style of vocal, a little bit of that rougher distortion on there, and it really does work out well. However, when you get to the verses, especially when you get to that Ray Charles part, he kind of cleans it up a little bit, and it really works well to not only help the instrumentation contrast from that Ray Charles part, that's the blank measures and all of a sudden just something coming in right at the end of those, versus the chorus, which is just full of more like that hard rock, punk rock style. The vocals really helped amplify that contrast and made it work out really well. One song I have to mention though is Home, because when you listen, this is the ballad style song that he wrote for his wife, which we'll get to in a little bit. But with the style of vocals that he went with on this song, he really tried to do many different things with his clean vocal style, training to do different pitches. And while there were times where I thought, yeah, your higher pitched vocals could have really done a little bit better and just reach a different height, but I thought maybe he couldn't necessarily reach those, and he's trying to do as much as he can to really express within his vocal pattern his love for his wife. So I'm like, you know what? I can't really knock this one, because you can see the effort in this. That's the best way to put it. You can really tell the effort behind this song without really knowing much about their relationship. The last two songs I've talked about are CMFT Must Be Stopped and, of course, European Tour Bus Bathroom Song. Looking at CMFT Must Be Stopped, there are 3 different vocalists on this track, and I really do like the way they work out well with that rap rock style. When you get to Corey Taylor, you're going to get this like time and a half style on the pacing of his vocals, and why I like that is because it works out to kind of create that rap rock style against that hard rock instrumentation part of it. But the gruffier style vocals of it really do work out well. The second verse, you get Kid Bookie to come in, and what I really liked about Kid Bookie on this one was due to the fact that, yes, his was rather cleaner when it came to just the different tones of voice, but what he really did well was just varied so much on the pacing within that hard rock consistent timing. Man, did this really stick out. And I thought at the end, I'm like, we gotta end this great. We gotta end this with Tech 9. And here comes Tech 9 with that classic Tech 9 style, and it really does work out well here with the faster pace, of the gruffier style of rapping. It really did work out well, the contrast against that hard rock instrumentation. So I thought, yeah, this really did work out well. Then go to European Tour Bus Bathroom Song, where it's just blatantly out there, just forceful, screaming, punk rock style, hardcore punk style. And I absolutely love this, especially in the first half. In the second half, though, I'm a little bit drawn back on it, and the reason I'm a little bit drawn back on it is because they do slow it up a little bit, make it more of like a refined hardcore punk sound, like Rise Against Heaven, The Sufferer, and The Witness. But Corey Taylor didn't switch up his vocals at all. I thought, had he gone just a little bit cleaner on the vocals in the second part of the song, and really would have kind of followed this same pattern that like Tim McElrath would have, especially more of a rougher sound, my God, would this have worked out completely. But it's just my one little quick bit. So overall with the vocals, I do like what they did with the vocals on this track, especially with CMFT mixing it with the Kid Bookie and with Tech 9, and mixing different styles in here as well. There are times where I thought, maybe you could make a couple of changes here, but overall, you know, it was still pretty dang good. When it comes to the themes of these songs and how the stylings play off of them, I take a look at the themes first, and the themes vary because Chord was talking about a lot of different things, some personal, some a little bit more outlandish and out there. When it came to the more personal stuff, songs like Black Eyed Blues and Home, he really did focus in on his love for his wife Alicia, and it really does come out in those songs. Take a look at a song like Silverish, where he's talking about addiction and what it's like to be fighting addiction when you're alone and you're only with your thoughts. And take a look at a song like Kansas, where he's talking about just that feeling like when he's driving on tour and you get to Kansas, you know you're only one step home because, of course, Kansas, Iowa, they're right next to each other. However, he did get a little bit wacky on this point, especially with the last two songs. Take a look at CMFT Must Be Stopped, where it's just kind of like, yeah, Corey's done so many things in his life, and he's gotten to this point where he can basically do whatever he wants. It's like, he can't be stopped. The guy can do whatever he wants. It's a little bit of a braggy track, but I understand it. Then European Tour Bus Bathroom Song. It's literally about a tour bus sign that says, like, please do not flush paper down the toilet. Please dispose it in the bin. And it's just, they wrote a song about it, so it's kind of wacky. But, yeah, did this really work? Is the question. I have to say, for the most part, this absolutely worked, because you take a look at a song like Home, and with Corey having to learn the piano over the course of 2.5 years and trying to do as much as he could with his vocal range to really show his love for Alicia, and just through the whole entire process of emotion that you get from hearing those vocals, I thought he did a great job with that, where I still think, you know, some of the higher pitch vocals could have worked, but I can see he was trying to hit those, and I'm not sure if he can actually hit as high pitch as I thought he could have, but you know what? You're given a wide range trying to evoke that emotion, and it really did work out here. Kansas, I do have to applaud for this one. Even with its more country vibe, which I really don't get down with that much, it really has this feeling of you're going home to see your family and you're at that last stop. So I do have to applaud him on that one. Just the rap rock styles of CMFT Must Be Stopped and just having that upfront just brashiness to it and kind of a little bit of bragging at the same time with the theme, it really does work out well, trust me. I mean, I've seen comments said like this is like Corey Taylor's WWE intro music, and it does make a lot of sense. Then European Tour Bus Bathroom Song, when you have a song about just something random and you want to put a lot of anger in it, what's the best way to go about it? Hardcore punk, and they succeeded on this one, so I gotta give it to them. Alright, time for my overall rating on CMFT by Corey Taylor, and it is... I'm gonna give CMFT a 7 out of 10. So 7 out of 10, there's gotta be things I like about this album. And one thing I liked about this album was the fact that Corey Taylor said he had the most amount of fun making this album, and it really shined through in all the songs because a lot of these songs, they were fun to listen to. I enjoyed the listen through on this album. It was fun. And especially when you get to the songs like CMFT Must Be Stopped and European Tour Bus Bathroom Song, where these songs don't take themselves seriously at all. Having at the end, my God, this just closed out this whole entire kind of fun album that just really just shined, in my opinion. It really did work. One thing I liked about this album was the fact that they did use that hard rock bass and they kept a very catchy kind of feel to it. And while I know there's a lot of times when people are like, oh yeah, you don't really want to write catchy stuff, kind of like that Finn McKenty butt rock style, but I do kind of like that because at times it's just like, it works, I'm not going to lie. And on this album it did because, again, it added to that more fun feel of the song where you could really get into most of these songs and not really take them seriously, or you could take them seriously. It was both at the same time. You could do a lot of this. Take a look at something like Highway 666, where you get that consistent drum with that more like a Charlie Daniels thumping of the drums consistently throughout the whole entire thing. It made for a fun track to really listen to. And then Mighty Lux, where all of a sudden you're going to get that punk rock, hard rock fusion, and you're going to end up putting in this like Ray Charles part to it. Those hooks incredibly worked out well. I couldn't get enough of it. I love that part of the song. Then, of course, take a look at the last two songs with CMFT Must Be Stopped with just the simplicity of the instrumentation with that hard rock style and how it worked out with that rap rock style the vocals had. My God, did that work out really, really well, especially bringing in Kid Bookie and Tech Nine. Then European Tour Bus Bathroom Song, because it didn't take itself seriously at all, and it was hardcore punk. You guys know me, I love punk rock, so going into that, I'm like, this is absolutely awesome. Again, the one change I'd make on that song is just the little bit of vocal pattern, but we'll get to that in the next section. However, when it comes to what I disliked on this album, I think I'm gonna have to go with really one thing, and it was something for me personally, and that's more of the country infusion into the hard rock. And that's just because when I hear the country infusion in there, especially with just how consistent the strumming guitars were on a lot of these songs, like Highway 666, like Halfway Down, like Silverish, like Kansas, it kind of made them all blend together in the same way. Now, don't get me wrong, when it comes to Kansas, I do understand it, and it really gives that like going home feel. So I can totally understand that. But where I get lost is the fact that just I don't connect with those at all, so they all do run together the same, and it's just not something for me. And when it comes to European Tour Bus Bathroom Song, I've said it beforehand, when it comes to the vocals, when they do that more refined punk sound like Rise Against would have done the Suffer and the Witness, and Chord still kind of just keeps that like super duper rough vocal in there. I wish he would have just cleaned up just a tidbit just to really amplify that, but that's really kind of what I dislike about this album. I mean, there's really only those major two parts that I could really pick out, honestly. So now time for my final thought. I was a little nervous going into this one because I know we've got it with Stone Sour, I know we've got it with Slipknot, and with Corey Taylor saying this is the most fun he ever had writing a record, I'm like, what are we necessarily going to get? But when we got this more hard rock bass sound with a lot of catchy riffs and just an album that at times really didn't take itself too seriously, I did enjoy the overall flow of it. When you had songs like CMFT Must Be Stopped and European Tour Bus Bathroom Song, you really had these songs that just ended that just didn't take themselves seriously at all and just had a whole bunch of fun listening to them. Then you take a look at songs at the beginning like Black Eyed Blues and Highway 666, where they do take themselves a little bit more seriously, but you still have more of a fun kind of feel to it. Where I get lost in this album is, again, on more of those like country infusion vibes, especially in the middle with halfway down, Silverish, and Kansas. I do get lost in those a little bit just because, again, that's not really my style and I just really don't get the feel of it, unlike I did with Kansas, but with like Silverish and halfway down, I just didn't really match up with that in terms of how the songs match up with the emotions. But then you get more personal songs like Home, and it really does stand out as a highlight of the album because you hear Corey Taylor putting his heart and soul in a song for the person that he loved the most. And the fact that he did a really good job with that on the piano instead of playing the guitar like he originally thought he was going to do, ooh, man, that was a good move. In the end, though, will this album end up hitting my top 10 overall at the end of the year? You know what? I'm not entirely sure right now. It's going to be on the watch list for sure, but I'm not sure if by the end of the year this is going to end up cracking the top 10. This isn't going to be in the top 10 worst, though. This will be in the top 10 best if it ends up being there. So that's going to be for me, guys. Thank you for watching this review. I hope you like it. So if you like, dislike, comment what your thoughts are. Again, share it with everybody you want. Help us out. Watch the Chord Progression podcast. And that's me for me today. So thank you for watching. This is Kevin from the M.S.O.T.D Rocks YouTube channel. We're going to end with the hat flip. Nope, but see ya!